Alright, so the other day I was speaking to the Doors developers, and they said something particularly interesting. I quote, "Seek is a lot more intelligent than most entities, and consciously wants to not be interrupted." Now, we've known for quite a long time now that Seek is a pretty strong entity. After all, at the end of Floor 2, they single-handedly take down the Queen Grumble. But nobody ever said they were inherently intelligent. This one message the developers told me sent me down a rabbit hole into one of Doors' most famous characters, and I discovered a secret so shocking I don't think anybody could have expected it. Seek has been hiding something pretty surprising for nearly 3 years at this point, and it's time I finally expose it to all of you guys in this very video. We have got a whole lot to discuss today, so with all of that being said, let's begin. Alright, so I think it's fairly common knowledge at this point that Seek is the strongest physical entity in the entire game, if we exclude things like the Architects and Glitch. Every single bit of Seek goo found throughout the entire world of Doors is part of one giant conscious entity, meaning Seek is essentially just always omnipresent. Additionally, entities like Screech existing prove that Seek has the capability to just infect and mind control anything it desires, making this one creature essentially an unstoppable threat to all life. Now, like I said, Seek being strong is no surprise. After all, lots of entities are strong. Figure is physically very strong, but he's also incredibly animalistic, meaning he's all brawl and no brains. What is surprising is the reveal that Seek is intelligent, just like El Goblino or Glitch or Grampy. How far does Seek's intelligence go? And what does it tell us about what he'll do in future floors? Well, let's answer that first question. Every entity in Doors falls into a range of intelligence. Entities such as Glitch are at the very top of that range, as they are fully capable of communicating, forming thoughts, and performing calculated actions. Entities like Figure are probably at the very bottom. They behave like wild animals, as I said, and have no other desire but to kill the player. The developers said Seek is more intelligent than most entities, meaning it's probably up there near the Architects and Glitch, but not really on par with them given how the Architects can overpower Seek through things like the Crucifix, and how, obviously, Seek can't really communicate with the player like those other entities can. So, I ask again, just how intelligent is Doors' arguable most powerful physical entity is? Well, fortunately, certain aspects of Seek's heightened intelligence can actually be seen in the game itself, so let's go over some of those. For one, Seek has to be aware of what humans are and what they look like. This is because they mimic the appearance of a human whilst they are chasing the player. Seek is also aware that molding their goo into certain shapes is better for performing certain functions, such as molding it into a hand to grab players during the first chase sequence, or into a tube worm shape to act as a long-range projectile during the dam. Additionally, as the developers said, Seek is aware of disruptions to its goal of killing the player, and it actively attempts to prevent those disruptions. This is why Seek and the Queen Grumble fight during the sewer chase sequence in the mines, as the Queen Grumble is interrupting Seek from trying to kill the player. Now, that's cool and all, but I think the most definitive sign of Seek's incredibly high intelligence is that big secret I mentioned at the very beginning of this video, and that is how they intentionally restrain themselves from completely obliterating the player instantly. As I previously described, Seek is a very powerful creature, and they are fully capable of killing you without hesitation. Nothing is really stopping Seek from just emerging a giant hand and squishing you during the dam fight. Nothing is stopping Seek from just emerging from the ground underneath you at a random point of the game and pulling you into its goo, killing you instantly, and you don't even have time to react. In fact, even Seek's Scream is a completely voluntary action which the entity has to physically mold itself to produce. This scream serves no other purpose but to let you, the player, know that Seek is present, which actually can help you. For an entity who's said by the developers to be incredibly smart, and who hates being interrupted from killing you, why would they seemingly intentionally restrain themselves upon obliterating the player? I mean, obviously if they do catch you, they kill you, but they make sure that you actually have a fighting chance against them. Why is this the case? Well, I think I've actually figured it out, and it has to do with the architects themselves. Essentially, the way Door's story is playing out right now seems to point to one main conclusion. That being, the architects want you to succeed, but they also want you to face a challenge. This is why Guiding Light doesn't just let you instantly skip the library, even though they probably have the capability of just teleporting you to the other side. Instead, they help you through it by placing the books. They believe in fairness, and that fairness also includes a fighting chance for the player. Guiding Light blocks Seek after a certain point, because then we just die to them eventually. We can't run forever realistically. Guiding Light also spawns a minecart at the end of the first half of the first mines chase, because without it we'd just fall to our death. I think Seek is so intelligent that he is physically aware of the architect's existence, and he is purposefully falling into their ideology of fairness in order to avoid being physically prevented by them. If Seek just attempted to kill you right now, the architects would immediately stop him, because that isn't fair to you, the player. But if Seek just plays it a little cooler, he can hopefully have an actual chance of killing you. Seek could very well be playing out a coordinated attack against the player. Sure, he's got the capability to instantly annihilate us, but if he uses that full force on us, then the architects would immediately put a stop to it. So he has to inch his way towards our demise, still making it fair for us, even though he wouldn't really have to without the architects being there. This is the secret behind Seek. It is that they could be so intelligent that they are aware of the architects and physically restrain themselves to prevent them from being totally blocked. Now, keep in mind that this is all just one big theory, and it isn't the only one I subscribe to regarding Seek. There's plenty of theories about this entity out there, and this is just one hat in the ring. I just think this could be a pretty neat interpretation that really highlights just how smart this one entity is, as they're really made out to be this hyper-intelligent being by the developers. This may be important in the future floors too. For example, what if Seek just loses it at one point and attempts to maul us directly, but it's deemed too unfair by the architects, so they step in and fight him instead? I think that could be pretty cool. Anyways though, that was basically everything I wanted to say in this video. There is still a lot of unanswered questions revolving around Seek, but maybe, just maybe, this theory answers one of them, that being an explanation behind their intelligence. So, with all of that being said, let me know down in the comments what you think of this theory. What flaws did you notice in it? What do you think I got right? And if you have any other interpretations about Seek and their intelligence, I would love to hear them. As theorizing about doors is a collaborative effort that takes the willpower of all of us involved. If you've got theories of your own that aren't even related to Seek, let me know as well, as I may just theorize about another entity in a future video. Anyways, with all of that being said, thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.